My name is Ronak and you're watching VectoArt. So in today's video I will show you how to use this UI framework called Bunifu in Visual Studio and create a beautiful Windows Forms application, and also I will show you how to use this framework, how to install it, and how to use its controls and make beautiful UI. So without any further ado, let's get started. Also, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot. So let's start first by exploring the website. Here you can see that we have two options. One is a trial period of 14 days, and since this is not a free tool, you can try it for 14 days, or else you have other buying options here. So I will be demonstrating the trial version as I am using the trial version, and you can go through this documentation that they have. You have different controls which are nicely customized. So if you go to the features tab, you will see that a gist of how the controls will look. So you can see this nice rating control and these kind of panels, pages, side panels, and then you have these gradient viewers, picture boxes, image buttons which are having nice animation to them, different styles of buttons, shapes, docking, transitions, animations, a whole lot of things. And don't forget, we have this beautiful charts which will bring your data to life. So you have these different chart controls. So we'll explore all of these. I will explain you a few things, but I will leave the rest to you. So if you go to the developers tab and if you go to the documentation, you will see that they have the documentation for each control, and the documentation is very detailed, so you will easily understand it. So let's start first by going to the installation, and I will show you how to install this UI framework. So there are two things. One, you can install it using the package manager console, or you can go via the NuGet package manager dashboard. So first let's fire up the Visual Studio and click on create a new project. Select Windows Forms app with .NET Framework. If you don't find it there, you can always search. Give this project a name. Let's name it Bunifu and click on create. Okay, so our application is loaded. Now first let's go to tools and NuGet package manager, manage NuGet package. So here in the browse you will have to look for Bunifu and click on the first link and click on project and install. Also you'll have to install the chart control, which is the third link in the list. First let the first link get installed. Close the readme file and then select the charts and click on install. Click on OK, accept the terms. Okay, that's done. So once they are installed, it will be appearing in the install tab. So now what is the next step? So the next step is to load the controls in the toolbox. So for that they are asking us to create a tab in the toolbox. So let's copy it, go to toolbox, and what I see here is that all the controls are automatically loaded for me, but if you don't see the controls here in the toolbox, you can create a tab like they said in the documentation. So you can create a tab like this and then choose the items. So let me show how it's done. So I'll copy this text, okay, and then let's go to our application and create a tab here by right clicking and create add tab. Paste the name, right click on the new tab and choose items. So all the controls will be loaded here, and if you still don't find them here, you can always browse and go to the path where your project is, and then in the packages you will find all these DLLs. You can select all of them and click on open. Since I have all my controls already loaded, I'll just get rid of this newly created tab. So I'll delete that because I don't need it, and I have all my controls already there. So now next, what do we have? So I think the installation is done. So let's now also there is since this is a trial version, you will have to add the license details which you get in your email once you sign up for the trial version. So you'll have to paste in the email ID and the license details and click on OK. I have done this already, so I will not be getting this error, but the documentation is very clear and crisp on how it has to be done. So you can add these details what you get in your email and activate this and use it for 14 days and make the most out of it. And if you really like it, which I believe you do, then go ahead and go sign up for the full version. So now so here you can sign up for the trial version. Since I have already done it, I don't get the option, but you will have the option of entering the email ID, first name, last name, and you will get the license details in your email. So let's start first by going to the controls now in the documentation. I will provide the links in the description. So let's start with the button control. So we can have such beautiful buttons. So let's begin now. So let's drag a button. So I'm dragging the control for the first time. So I believe I will get the license activation message. Yeah. Okay. So let's close that, and then you have this button. So this button is very similar to the normal button that we have in WinForms, but we have other properties like border radius, and you can also change the animation. You can have alternate edges rounded. You can have images and so on. If you go to the documentation, you will understand what else you can do. For now, I will add an icon to the left of the button. Change maybe change the color, change the radius, change the radius to 5. Maybe change the color to gray. You can achieve outline border of blue if you change the color of the border to blue. Let's run the application and see it in action now. Okay, so we have this button, and see, you can see that on hover we have this nice animation. So we have different animations on idle, hover or pressed. We have our dotted, dashed borders. We have alternate edges, rounded and flat buttons. So lot of things. So if you want to achieve this particular radius of borders, then you'll have to go to properties, and there we have the option to change it. We can have toggle buttons with beautiful icons. So if you go to properties for this button, I will show you where you can have those alternate edges rounded. So if you go to the customized edges, there you can set which edge you want rounded and which one as sharp edge. So that's how it's done. I think we have spent a lot of time explaining this button control, and I believe we'll have to move on to the next control. Okay, so now let's move on to the next control, and that will be the cards control. So we have this nice animation to the cards. So let's go to the documentation, how it's added. So let's follow the same process, and we have the code snippet as well for the animation. Okay, so let's start by adding the cards on the form. Okay, so let's go to the toolbox and add the card, resize it, make copies of it. Okay, let's increase the size of the form. Now let's change the highlighted color. So the colors are provided here. You can select your colors, but I am just following the documentation just for the demonstration purpose. So let's go to the properties and change the color property to the specified color in the documentation. Do this for all the cards. Pin the properties panel so that you need not open it again. Okay, and select the next card, paste it, copy, and the final card. Yes, so that's done. Now let's go down, and you can add these images on the card. I have downloaded my the images from the link that is provided in the documentation. You can also go to icons8.com. I will provide the link in the description. You can download your icons from there for free. So now to add the icons, we'll have to drag an image control on the card. So if you go to the toolbox and search for image, you will get the image control from Bunifu. So this is an image button. So copy it and paste it on all the cards and set their source. Okay. Okay, let's import all of them first so that I can simply select it later. Okay, so click OK and do the same for the rest of the cards. And yeah, so that's done. Now let's go and copy the code snippet that they have provided. Before that, we have to set the visibility of all the cards to false. So when we load the application, the animation will run and make them visible in a mosaic pattern. So first select all the cards and change the visibility of them to false. Then copy the code that is provided. So you can it says, the documentation says that if you double click on the card, double click on the form, it will take you to the code behind, or you can go to the events panel and then find the form load and add the code inside the form load. We are getting an error because we are missing some references, and also we need to make the form load function async, and we are missing a transition animation component. So let's go to the toolbox. Before that, let's add the missing references. Okay, so we have one last error. So let's see what the documentation says. So I think I've missed something. Okay, so here step 3, you can see that we need to locate Bunifu transition component and drag it on the form. So let's look for the transition control. Let's minimize the default controls that we have and look in for the Bunifu transition control or component and drag it on the form. Okay, so you can see that we have this beautiful animation after we have added the Bunifu transition on the form. The error has gone, and you can see this once the application loads the animation is triggered. So there are a lot of controls for you to explore, like the checkbox. The documentation is very clear and very easy to understand, so explaining them does not make sense. You can go to the documentation, try it on your own, and if you find any errors, please leave a comment on the video. So we have circle progress bars, we have data grids. I will show you this data grid. It is very simple. So you can simply copy this code snippet and paste it in the form load, and add the missing references, and here it will populate with the sample data, so you can later change it with your own data from the database. So you have this beautiful data grid with sorting options and animations. So that's that. So let's remove that, and then we have date time pickers, we have drop down boxes, many controls, picture boxes, everything. So next I will show you how to use a chart control. So you can see this beautiful chart that we have bar charts, we have bubble charts, we have gauges, donut charts, so many things. So let's start by adding the first chart. So for this they are asking us to add a canvas on the form. Okay, so drag the canvas control on the form from the toolbox. So I'll get rid of the code that we had, and now let's go to the designer and look for the canvas control and drag it on the form. Okay, and now Next, we have to add labels to the canvas. So right click, and if you see here we have labels in the properties, just add the labels. So all this functionality you can do it from the code behind, from the data that you have in your database. So we have done with the labels. Now we have to add a component on the form, and that component will be the bar chart. So look for the bar chart and drag it on the form. Now the bar chart wants some of the properties, that is the target control, target canvas, which is the canvas that we have on the form, and then we have to set the values after we have set the labels. We have set the labels already. Now we have to set the values for those labels. So if you go back to the application and go to the data, here you can add the values for those labels. So I'm randomly adding some value to the labels, and as you are adding you will see that the labels are animating. Also you can change the color of the bar, and on hover you can also change that color so that you have this nice look to it. Okay, so we are done adding the values. Now if you run the application you will see this bar chart in action, and similarly you can add other chart controls and try it for yourself. So we have bubble chart, the documentation is good. We have canvas controls, we have donut charts, and so on. So hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, please do subscribe to my channel, like, share it,